Hey, folks, welcome back. We're here at the Marketing Share. I'm Alec, and with me, as always, is Barb.
Hey,
Hey, how's it going, Barb?
good. We have a very cool guest today.
Yeah, definitely interesting and definitely not what I was expecting. I'll say that up front. As we got to talk to him a little bit more, and I understood really what he was doing, I was like, oh, okay, this is really different. This is not something I've heard of before. We should tell our audience what the heck we're talking about.
Yeah, so our guest is Scott Cate, and Scott Cate has a company called 301 Pro. And what Scott is, first of all, he's got this killer background. He's been in Amazon and Microsoft. So he's a tech engineering type person who has created something that I find to be an exciting application for people who are trying to manage really complex link situations.
Yep.
Now, what does that mean? A
Yep.
link situation would be, say I am trying to manage so many different links for my national franchise, right? A link to a landing page that has to be specific about what time of day you're open, what capabilities you have at this time, all these different variations. I don't know if you've ever tried to manage a lot of links because your business is changing the content on a regular basis. I have, and I refer to it as the link graveyard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, have you ever had that where you have like a billion links and you're trying to figure out which version are we on?
Yeah, I personally haven't, but this is one of the top marketing topics I think, which is where we're kind of going deep into the nuts and bolts of marketing here, right? But this is really cool because I'm coming from this other angle, right? I've never really had to manage complicated links, but even so, I can. It's really easy to see how that can get messy right away, right? Because and he'll even talk about this, right? It's as simple as sometimes you put the wrong link in an ad, and you're like, oh shoot, like the ad's already run. You can't. Sometimes you can't change it. So to have a way to be a little bit more dynamic and smart about how you manage and deploy these links. So now take that, and what if you are in a situation where you have hundreds of links that you have to manage, you have to keep on top of them. Yeah, it gets messy. Um
He's going to tell us a great story about, the disconnected link, right? And I just
yeah,
literally had this in my business, right?
yeah,
Where somebody forgot a footer, so we got the 404, which was, the disconnected link
right,
situation. And we're like, oh, darn.
right.
This is a situation where you can actually create some intelligence in under the hood of your one QR code so it can direct you to the right place.
Yeah,
So let's get into it. He's
yeah.
going to tell us all about this cool technology. And I know a lot of the big agencies that manage very big clients in complicated areas in different areas throughout the country and the world will be interested in this one.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's go talk to Scott. Scott Cate, welcome to the Marketing Share. Glad to have you join us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, Scott. Tell us a little bit about how you got started in this area, your journey to how you got to 301 Pro.
All right. So my name is Scott. I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona. Sort of easy to remember, Scott and Scottsdale.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm old. So I've been in the internet since the internet was invented. Our first software company was shipped on floppy disks. And that obviously was before the internet. So I've been building software for a long time. And during those last 30, 35 years, I've actually had a recurring problem that we've solved over and over and over again with this link management that most of your audience as campaign managers will understand or can start to envision how they would, do a little bit of work today to solve some huge problems for tomorrow.
I love that. What is the link management challenge that is out there?
Yeah,
Because I've managed some global teams too in the past and that kind of thing. What
perfect.
exactly? There's a million things we're trying to solve,
Yeah.
but what is this one exactly?
Well, as you've managed some of these larger teams, so have I. So let's go all the way back to the beginning of like the original problem we were trying to solve. I was working at Microsoft. I was an engineer inside their cloud computing org. And we had lots of product announcements. Almost every week we have like a new thing, a new thing, a new thing. Well, when you have a product announcement, it's helpful for your team to want to share the product announcement. Hey, this is coming soon, coming soon. Well, I had over 200 people around the world that I worked with. I wasn't like a direct manager, but as a collective team, we all wanted to promote everything. So if you have 200 people and you want to promote something, you start to think, we need to keep track of who's promoting what. Like, there's only one press release, but let's say 200 people are promoting it and you have a contest, like who can drive the most traffic. Some people do blog posts, some people do YouTube, some people do paid ads. Like, there's lots of different things. So managing all of those is difficult because as the campaign manager, people come to me and say, hey, I need a new link. Like, so many people in your audience are saying, oh yeah, I've done that. And now you end up with 200 links. But the real problem is what we call change management. So let's think about those 200 links and the press release. Like, let's pretend you have a new product that's coming out on the first of the month. You've got 200 links in the wild. They're all promoting this press release. What happens on the second of the month? Like, now you have the product. It's released. And most people don't go back to change management and actually update those 200 links. So they just continue pointing to like the old press release, which eventually goes offline and then things break. So we built a system that lets you very easily manage change for massive amounts of links or one link. This is just an example, but imagine if on the second of the month, you could go to a campaign override and you can say all the links that are in this campaign, just change them. So now they go to the actual product. Now your links don't break. It took you like 30 seconds to update it. So link management, change management, reporting, all of this comes in. But I sort of feel like I dove right into the deep end. That's a little bit too nerdy. I should back up a little bit.
Well, tell us the story of why you're named 301.pro.
Right. Okay. That's perfect. Let's start there. So the internet has some of these numbers that most of you have seen. Like, if something breaks on Amazon and you can't get to a product page, do you know what a 404 is?
Yeah.
So 404, most of your audience will know, is not found.
Yep.
Yeah. And that happens a lot, especially when we neglect our old links. And that's typically bad because like somebody had intention to find what you once had, but you moved the cheese. And now they just end up at a dead end. So 404.
Yeah.
Generally not
This
good.
happened this week to my company. This week, okay?
Tell me.
Yeah, it's a 404, a dead link.
Right.
I'm like, oh my gosh, we forgot the one in the footer. Way out in here, right?
There you go. There's actually 404 managers that will alert you on 404 spikes because we all do this. We're human. We're like, okay, we got a new web page out, but then, we forgot to update the footer. And usually we stumble across it ourselves, or a customer asks us, they're like, hey, this isn't working. You're like, so then you go fix it. Okay, so that's 404. 500 you might know is server error. So here's the nerdy part. Do you know what 301 is?
That one I don't know.
Okay, 301 is for redirect. And ultimately, my whole company is found on this concept that when you click a link, instead of being hard-coded to what we call a final destination, that's the hyperlink that you do now. You like write some text, highlight, add link, landing page. Now that link is hard-coded to the landing page. And of course, you could manually change it. But with 301 redirect, we put an engine in the middle that lets you update that link with the engine in the middle. So over the next hour, we'll talk about 1,000 different examples, but all of them universally are just using this engine to say, hey, I'm smart enough to now send you to a new place. Like the product launch announcement, we call that a date link, which is very simple. Before this date, go here. After this date, go there. Okay. And it just is a little brain that says, I know what time it is, and I can make that decision for you.
Yeah. So then that's a good explanation, because I think what you're getting at there in your first example, right? If I can replay it back, before you launch a product, you may want the link to go to something that is like building excitement for the launch, right? Or building anticipation, right? But then after you launch the product, you hope that you would like that if people go back to that same link, now they actually get led to the actual product, not all the pre-launch stuff that you were trying to do before.
That's exactly right. So imagine you wrote a blog post and you write a blog post about my product launch. Yeah. And I'm like, hey, Alec, use this link and let's call it, we'll just make something up, 301.pro/product launch/Alec.
Yeah.
And that's a link I give you.
Yeah.
And that /Alec is important because now I can do attribution based on how many people come through to the press release. Barb, you'd have the same link. Yours would just be /Barb or /123 affiliate code initials. People use lots of things there, but you're absolutely right. And what I don't want to have to do is burden you later to say, hey, Alec, change that link to the press release to the product. And I don't want to have to do that 200 times.
Right.
In fact, I don't do that. And that's the problem.
Right.
But instead now I want to be able to just, we call it proactively. I want to just proactively say, after this date, hit the product page.
Okay.
Yeah. So you've created a little engine to redirect my old direction into the new direction. And the last example you gave me was based on a time, right?
Yes.
So it was pre versus post something,
yes, right?
But, and I have examples like this in my head that's happening right now. I'm helping a company. I'm helping a company with a pitch deck, right? And so as we get more feedback from some of these, angels and these funders, we want to update the pitch deck. And it's and we're constantly, I'm managing these links, right? But really what we want to do is redirect them to the latest version of it. And that's what this allows us to do.
And it lets you keep track if the link is actually being clicked because we have analytics at the link level. So let's say that your URL is 301.pro/pitch deck. And that's your URL. You could send it to 100 people and people update the link. But you could also do pitch deck /Scott. And then it's the same link, but you could customize that link for every person you send it to. Then when somebody clicks the link, they're like, oh, Scott clicked this link. And like you can individualize. Meanwhile, it's the same link. You don't have to create. If you're pitching to 20 companies, you just use one link to 20 times. That's effectively the same thing we did with team management or what some of our customers use with affiliate codes to just keep track of the attribution of who's clicking a link. With, of course, the benefit being you only had to create one link.
Okay. So I was going to ask you, why is this a big deal? And but now I'm seeing all these applications where it is a big deal. And you talked a minute ago about, I'm going to call it the link graveyard. Okay.
Okay. I love it.
The link graveyard is all these past links that we've had sometimes. So does this eliminate the link graveyard because I don't need those prior versions of things?
Well, no. It will eliminate new entries into the graveyard if you start to do a little bit of work now to protect yourself in the future. So, you can't change the past because those are not redirection links. All those links are effectively hard-coded, which is like the nemesis to a marketer because you can't change something. By the way, I should say, if you're a developer, you've probably built something like this 100 times.
Yeah.
It's redirection is very, very common. But if you're a marketer, you don't really have the ability to do that. You don't have access to the server. You don't have access to the landing pages or the HubSpot account or like all the things that are in the economy of where these links are created. But as a marketer, if you're using a redirection link, you now gain all the power into the visibility of who's clicking the link and where that link ends up. So we did talk about time of day. There's actually 1,000 other things. Let me just throw a few more examples at you.
Okay.
What about day of week? Like, should you treat your customers the same on Saturday or Sunday versus Monday through Friday? Or you could combine day of week and time. And now you could be like, if I'm open, do this. Like a lot of our customers reroute their support link to a pro link. So a pro link says, if I'm open, like if I'm during business hours, then go here to live chat, for example. And if I'm closed, then go to email support a ticket. Like, it's not rocket science at that point, but it's really helpful for the customer to just end up at the right place and not have to think about where they are. We've got a really big restaurant chain that uses that same thing. But when you scan the QR code on the table, we open the menu based on time of day: breakfast, lunch, happy hour, dinner.
Okay.
And it just saves the consumer that one click of like, what's your intention? We can know your intention in that example based on time of day. So like time of day of week, there's a lot of magic you can do there.
I see. Yeah, and it makes it a lot easier because the other more basic way to do it would be to come up with 4 different links. One for
That's right.
breakfast, one for happy hour, one for lunch, right? But then
Or a landing page somewhere that surveys you that says, what do you want to see?
Right.
And,
Okay.
yeah.
So it's like basically you're another way to say it is that you're creating really smart dynamic link management, right?
100%.
Yeah. Okay.
You're hired.
Yeah, I get it. No, that makes sense now. Because now I'm starting to see kind of how you can now make this really something really powerful, because now you can think as a marketer, oh, now I'm not bounded by the technical difficulty of trying to figure out, oh, like we can't give them 4 links. That's going to be too hard to manage,
Right.
or I don't have the development resources to be able to do this. Now it's just, I know I have a system that can do anything that I want, and I can just feed it more complicated, more
That's right.
sophisticated rules, right?
That's absolutely right. So for someone just getting started, you might think, well, I'm not an international company. I don't have clients across the country, or I don't have, a franchise installation with 200 stores. But just really getting started at a basic level, think about a webinar link.
Mm-hmm.
A webinar link is perfect because you've done all of this time and money promoting the webinar.
Mm-hmm.
And then after the webinar, it all just dies and goes away.
Yeah.
So we tell people, like, if you're going to put your webinar as a recording on YouTube or in a web page or even a squeeze page where you're like, hey, if you want to see the recording, give us your email address.
Yeah.
All of that can be done with a simple date link that says, after my webinar, then go to the landing page. Before the webinar, go to the registration.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see that application. I was also thinking when you were describing this, a little bit of a sales motion as well.
Mhm.
So if I'm a sales team and I'm sending you this link and you said I could customize it to the sales link Barb, right? Now
100%.
I'm doing some things to try to drive some engagement that could be beneficial for the team as we learn how they're interacting with that link or that piece of content in some way, right? So now I've customized it for a sales team or a motion that's really trying to do something with that customer.
That's right. Completely. So here's another example. We have a call center in Europe, and we have a call center in Sydney, and we have a call center in the United States. So if you go to 301.pro/meeting, or let's just say you're a customer and you're like, hey, I'd like to learn more about this. When you click the link of /meeting, the first thing that our rules engine done is says, what continent are you on? And if you're in Australia, we don't ask you if you're in Australia. We just take you to book a meeting with the Australian sales team.
Mm.
And now some people are like, well, again, I don't have an international office, so that doesn't apply to me. But it probably does. We have a local air conditioner company here that they basically have in-network traffic and out-of-network traffic because they do a lot of television commercials.
Mhm.
And we'll talk about TV commercials in a minute. Adding a QR code to a television commercial is amazing until it's not, because you end up with a lot of people outside your network. But let's go down this air conditioner path. Like, they only work in a specific region. And if you've been watching this television commercial, but you're in another state, they used to just throw that traffic away. Now they're selling it. They've sort of joined this international air conditioning consortium. And they're like, hey, I've got a customer in Portland for 7 cents. I'll just send them to your landing page instead of my landing page. Because if they come to my landing page, they can't do anything. It's like bad for everybody. So attorneys are using this. There's a lot of places that are using this. And so we've sort of jumped from date and time into location. And with location, we really can do some magical things if the customers that are listening to this podcast have multiple locations. So if you'd like, I can give you some amazing examples of how our customers are using location today.
Yeah.
I would love that, because we've done the same thing in some of my businesses, for healthcare offices throughout the United States, right?
Yep.
And a network of them that might not be owned by the same people, but could benefit from this technology could be sort of interesting.
So let's go back to the very first thing I said. We have this rules engine. When you click a link, you go through the rules engine and you come out the other side. I don't control anything that comes out the other side. That's your company. That's your landing page, your website, whatever. I just have the rules engine. Well, if we back up a second, we talked about the hyperlink. What if you put the hyperlink embedded in a QR code? And this is what a lot of our customers are doing, because now the QR code is no longer hard coded. When the QR code is scanned, it basically opens the same URL link. Now it's on your phone. And then it goes to the rules engine and it goes to the next place. So a lot of our customers are putting QR codes on billboards and television commercials. The beauty of a televised sports game, for example, it's nationwide. And you can do things based on the location of the person scanning the link. So we have one of the world's largest automobile manufacturers is currently using us. In fact, this postcard may be in your house right now. Mm-hmm. It's an oil change program. Mm-hmm. And what we've been able to do for them is eliminate one QR code for every region. So they don't have to do dynamic printing. But when you scan this QR code, we use the location from your device. We say, oh, you're in Scottsdale, Arizona. Your closest dealership is here. So instead of burdening the user to say, where are you located? We just take them right to the closest dealership to say, hey, book your oil change. And like in 4 seconds, instead of potentially never, I've taken you right into the appointment. But remember, the magic is the same QR code is printed on these postcards that go out nationwide. So it's really a fun program to think about the technology.
This is a TV example that could actually localize a national
100%.
TV. That's Absolutely. The genius of this.
We do that all day long. Yeah. So for the person listening, you really have to ask yourself about your business. Do I have an audience that I would treat differently based on where they are? If I'm in Arizona, California, New York, Sydney, Milan, like where I am, does that change the buying aspects? In some cases, you might say, I don't ship my product to Europe. So we have a makeup company that does this. They literally don't ship to most of Europe. And so they have a little country list. And then when links come in from those countries, they redirect them to an Amazon affiliate link. So instead of just losing the traffic and saying, sorry, we can't help you, they just send them to an affiliate link in the country that Amazon is in. So amazon.co.uk or amazon.jp or .mx or whatever the local region code is for Amazon. So instead of just losing the international traffic, you can sort of make money through the affiliate programs. Again, we're talking about a lot of examples, but at the end of the day, it's very simple. There's a link. Can I better serve the person clicking this link than going to the hard-coded destination? And if I can, based on time or date or location, or now I'm about to blow your mind, we also have weather data. So again, this is for a larger retail. One of the largest clothing retail companies in North America is using our product, and they, on demand, will create the preview image in your ad based on your location and the weather. So here's the question for you. Are you the same person if you're snowed in Chicago versus sunny on a beach in Florida?
Right. Yeah.
So,
what's going to interest you or what'll be relevant to you could be very different, vastly different.
That's right.
Yeah.
So as part of an awareness campaign, we're like, here's 30% off for the holiday, Valentine's Day, Father's Day, Christmas, like whatever the region is, here's 30% off. And we can dynamically slipstream in flip-flops or a raincoat or we could direct traffic online if you're more than 20 miles away from one of our national stores. Like if you're more than 20 miles away and it's snowing, we know you're not coming into the store. So we want to drive online sales. But if it's Friday afternoon and the store's less than 5 miles from you, we could sell you like a 30% off today only. Come in the store and show this QR code. There's some master marketers that are really doing some amazing things with these new levers, date, time, and weather that people just have never had the opportunity to do before. And it's all in real time that lets you make those decisions to really connect with who is the person on the other side of the ad or the text message in that example.
So the other thing that I'm picking up on, though, is that the key difference here, your solution also is not interruption driven, right? Because like when I hear notification based, I'm thinking of the previous example or what we've heard from, which is like, okay, I happen to be driving by or walk by a Starbucks or whatever, right? And so it knows that I'm nearby, so it pops it. Or I walk into a store and it says, oh, we know you just walked into our store, so we're going to serve you an ad.
Mm-hmm.
Is that any part of your model, or is it more like, because what you've explained so far, everything is still based on, no, the user saw something and decided to click or scan a QR code to click on something. And then based on that action, which is taken by the user, you can now apply smart rules on what to do next.
That's 100% correct. So remember, I'm the engine in the middle of your link and your destination. In the example you've described with the beacon traffic, if you walk into an Apple store or if you walk into Walmart now, they're like, hey, join our Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
And then they know based on location of where you are.
Yeah.
Our customer could then go one step further and provide you an action link. Could be a text message, could be a deep link into an app. And at that point, you'd go through our rules engine. But you're correct. We are reactive to the link scan or the link click. And then it would be up to you to show an ad or get somebody into clicking that link. Which, by the way, could be the header navigation on your website.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't have to you don't have to pigeonhole yourself just into an ad or to an email newsletter.
Right.
The real links.
It can be anywhere.
Links are everywhere. Yeah, exactly.
I feel the beauty in this is, the QR code that directs you somewhere. You're taking an action, yes, but you don't have to have the level of personalization that we used to think through 55 times in order to direct somebody somewhere, something, time of day, or, some access point. Yes, you do have to have somebody click on something, but the beauty of that is the front end can be more standardized because you have this
it's simpler
redirection engine in the middle here. Is that a way to think about it?
Yeah, it's 100% right. I like what you said when you're like, you have date and you have time or you have some access. There's a lot of information we get from what's called a user agent, which is basically your internet browser or your phone telling our server, here's some information about this user. We have device detection. So we know if you're an Android or iPhone. Mm-hmm. Well, that goes right back to the QR code because we have a lot of people doing mobile app ads. The intention of their television commercial is, hey, we have this amazing app, scan this QR code to open it. Well, we use the device detection and say, if it's an iPhone, go to the Apple Store. If it's an Android, go to the Google Play Store. And we don't have to burden the user to say, okay, you've loaded this page, now click this link for Apple and Android. Mm-hmm. And every step you can reduce the friction of the buyer to actually just go execute the intention of what they wanted to do, you're going to have higher return on ad spend, higher click-through rate, and more maturity in your analytics to keep track of, retargeting, remarketing. There's just so much data that we have that most people have never thought about being able to customize those links for users on demand, on the fly.
Okay. Yeah. So, Scott, is anyone else doing something like this?
We do have some competition. In fact, a lot of your audience has forever used the 800-pound gorilla we all know as Bitly.
Yeah.
Bitly is amazing. We love Bitly. I've used Bitly hundreds, maybe thousands of times. Bitly has just been there, but Bitly is hard-coded. I should say hard-coded with an asterisk because they do have some specialty features. Like Bitly, for example, has deep linking. So they can do things with the Android and the iPhone example that I talked about. But they don't have a full rules engine that lets you decide based on time of day, business hours. Like the weather example, that's something that, to my knowledge, which is pretty vast, but I don't want to speak factually because, the internet is large. I don't know of anyone competing with us based on time of day or weather or customization like closest location of the automobile dealership. There is another company called Rebrandly. They're pretty great. And they have some location detection where they do continent or country-based. Like if I'm in the United States, go here. If I'm in Mexico, go there. So that's sort of talks about the rules engine a little bit, but it's nothing directly competing with the advanced rule system that we can create. So,
yeah. I keep thinking of the example, that I've used because I've had these multiple locations, right, all around the country, but the best, the priciest ad was always like a cable ad or something like that, but you could never direct it to those small markets, or it was like,
right.
What do I do with the rest of the traffic to that? So then you would buy this the high cost stuff in a localized market, which really didn't make sense for the size of the business that we were doing. So I really like this idea of being able to direct that standardized traffic into something really specific and maybe using it somewhere else. I think that's kind of exciting for agencies, especially. Who
It's
are
phenomenal.
your markets?
So anybody that is driving a campaign manager, that's the role that I target, the campaign manager. This is the person that feels the pain of having to create 200 links, having to go back and update 200 links, having to keep track of all the links in all the places. And we could drastically reduce the number of links that are needed for that campaign manager. Now, when I spend money on marketing, I market to an advertising agency. And I market to the advertising agency because it's like a domino effect. If I can make the person in the agency a superstar and they have 10 clients, then with one sale, I could sell 10 licenses. Or, I have a really big ad agency in Chicago that has opened up doors to the clothing company and to the automotive company that I've talked about. I have never actually worked directly with the automotive company. I'm working with their agency. So it's not that I don't work directly or the product doesn't directly serve the campaign manager that's on site in a small company or a large company or a startup. But my advertising dollars target an agency just because I have to have some focus somewhere. And I've learned how to talk to that person. They're typically a little bit more in tune with some of the ad tech that's out there. And it's just an easier connection. So our target market is campaign manager. My target budget goes to the campaign manager inside of an agency, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure, because you get a lot more bang for your buck, like you said, right? They're doing high volume campaigns. This ability to manage is really going to make a difference for them. What about? Can I ask? What kind of impact, though, at the end does this have, though? Because I could argue the other side, which is like, hey, this is really cool. Sounds really nice to have. I can see how it makes everything easier. Does it really make a difference, though, in the campaign, right? Do I get more leverage out of the campaign? What can you say about that, or any examples there?
It's a great question. Yeah, that's an amazing question. So we're really trying to solve two pain points. The first one is saving me hours in management. And the second thing you brought up is, can I make more money?
Yeah.
Like, that's really what it's all about. Like, can I make the customer happier? Can I connect with somebody that sells more using this technology? We have a bunch of case studies that are in the works. I don't have anything factual where I can say X% growth, but I can say that our customers are dramatically experiencing increased click-through rates and return on ad spend. Gosh, I wish I had some case studies that were already published, but sort of waiting on permission to some of these bigger companies to get things published.
We're all marketers. We know about getting the permission for case studies.
Right.
You'll get some media efficiencies out of this for sure. I would
Absolutely.
think. In that example that I just mentioned. You'll get there.
But just that you're saying, but even though you're already able to say, though, that you're seeing increases in return on ad spend and increased click-through.
100%.
So
yes,
that already,
I can factually say, if you use this system and you put some time into it, you will get a higher ROAS. I should probably be careful. Like, factually stating something is always wrong on the internet. Like, there's no facts.
I didn't hear
so
that.
maybe I should say probably.
That's fine.
But like,
based on what this technology does, you could likely say that certainly on a media efficiency rate.
We're
not trying to get you to undersell. We just, and I think I get what you're saying, though, which is like, you can see you are seeing the results of it, the improvements, the step up.
So here's what we did with the postcard example on the oil change. 250,000 with the old QR code, 250,000 mailers with the new QR code. And I can tell you that one drastically outperforms the other just based on the number of steps reduced and the friction to get to an oil change. But I don't have that case study ready yet. But it will be an amazing case study when it's out.
No, that's good. That's good.
Remember, efficiency is efficiency's a lift too, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, I can tell you, I do have a case study. There's one of our customers, they do customized calendars for all the major sports. So football, baseball, basketball, and what we call soccer or so let's see, football, baseball, basketball, and hockey. We actually don't have international football or what people call soccer yet, but they're looking at it. Anyway, so they have these QR codes in all the stadiums all around the North America. And they're like, scan this QR code and we'll put the games on your Google Calendar. That's their business model. But the pain point of the campaign manager is managing 500 QR codes.
Right.
And some of your audience will listen to this and cringe because many people have QR code horror stories.
Yeah.
Because once a QR code's printed in the wrong place,
right,
you can't change it if it's hard coded. So like they have examples of putting this QR code up on the Jumbotron and it's the wrong QR code. So it loads the wrong sports team.
Geez.
So
that is the graveyard of the QR code.
Can you imagine spending money on a national ad campaign, but the QR code in the television commercial is broken?
It doesn't work. Yeah.
Okay, so here's what they did. It's very simple. They use the location, and all they do is they have a URL, and when you scan the QR code, we use a location. It's literally, it's in one rule. We say, append the state that the QR code was scanned in. And then from the state, they load all the teams in that state. For Arizona, I would get the Diamondbacks. I would get the Phoenix Suns.
Okay. Yeah.
And now the level of friction just dropped because I'm like, oh, I don't like this team. Turn that off, turn that on. But like the onboarding process literally took them from managing 500 QR codes with lots of errors in lots of places to one QR code. That's the same thing nationwide. And it's a beautiful solution. So you can imagine the time saving, Barb, that you were talking about. And just even the headache and the overhead cognitive load of managing 500 QR codes. Like,
right.
Crazy.
Yeah. I feel like when we compare and contrast this, right, from yesterday, because I've actually, had a spreadsheet with all those links in it to keep track of my links, right? Just like I keep track of my passwords and everything. It's a joke, right? And of course, I'm not really keeping track of it anyway. Contrast to utilizing something like this technology to be able to redirect these things and keep them updated on a regular basis, reduce the friction, and ensure that you have more of a personalized, experience for that customer. I mean, the more complex the product line, right? I'm thinking franchises right now. I'm thinking anybody like that, right? Who does business nationally. It's got to be a game changer.
Yeah. It's a no-brainer for anybody with a franchise with multiple locations. Or you mentioned healthcare. We've got a customer in Arizona. They've got, I don't know how many, let's just say there's 50 offices, and they've got billboards all over the valley. When you scan the QR code, it takes you to make an appointment at the closest clinic to where you are right now. Now, I should also say, we're not creepy. Like, we don't know where you live. We get about a 5-mile range to where you are. And we do that with IP reverse detection. So the IP address is a little nerdy, but that basically tells us the cell phone tower you're connected to. And then that gives us about a 5-mile range, which is close enough to then say, here's where we think you should go. It's not 100%, but it's about 95%. And for those people who just get crazy accuracy, and then, of course, once we know the location, we can deduce the weather. We know the time of day. There's a really simple question that's almost impossible for people to get right. What time is it? Like, there's 1,000 people on your website right now.
Yeah.
What time is it? And now
That's
people
the
are
time in
like,
my time
okay,
zone.
I guess, it depends. Yeah. What time zone you're in, where you're clicking in from. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So the answer is it's all the time.
Yeah.
Like, if I have 1,000 people on my website, for one person, it's 5 a.m. For
Right.
someone else, it's 3 p.m.
Yeah.
And I would say if you are showing that person the same content, that's a miss. If I have a Shopify store, I could do something really simple like daytime product, nighttime product. Like we have somebody that sells sleep medication or sleep natural herbs. I don't think it's medication, but it's like vitamins or supplements of some sort. And during the day, they're like, you can sleep better tonight. But during the night, they say, you should be sleeping right now. And it's the same link that just determines what product to show them or what phase of the same product to show them. It's really smart for them to use time of day to their advantage to, again, just better connect with the person based on their local time. And that's sort of the magic of, that song, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Like,
Right.
Let's have a drink. It's happy hour.
Yeah.
It's true, right? So
Yeah. That's a good one.
So much fun.
So, Scott, this has been really fascinating. If people want to find out and work with you on this to learn more, where should they go?
So the website is 301.pro, and I do have a coupon code. We don't have any free software. We do have a demo. It lets you set up 5 demo links so you can sort of play around with and see if this will work for you.
Okay.
The software, though, is $50 a month. We have a $200 a month version. Then we have an enterprise version where we basically do a private install for you. But it's a very low ticket item for somebody that's actually managing that many links. It's $50 a month. I did create a coupon code for your show called TMS.
Great.
And just sort of your initials, which is just 50% off for 2 months. It's not a huge win, but it's a little bit that lets somebody get in there, try it, set up their custom domain. In all of these examples, we talked about 301.pro/something, but we absolutely support custom domain. So, if your domain is the marketing show, then you could set up a subdomain of that, go.themarketingshow.com or whatever your product name is.
Okay.
And then you get some search engine optimization because that subdomain is really in the same family as your main domain. So you don't have to use a 301.pro short link. You could really use any link shortener of your choice or domain of your choice in order to sort of stay on brand.
Okay.
But yeah, there's that's how it is. 301.pro is the website. I hope people like it, love it.
Yeah.
We also have 24/7 support. So inside the app, there's a little question mark. You can do live chat to talk to people. It's a ton of fun. You could tell my passion in having architected this system.
Well, I used to work on franchise businesses, and I can see the application of this really impacting some of these businesses in a major way to drive simplification and efficiency. So I love it. Thanks so much, Scott. Awesome.
Thanks, Barb. Thanks, Eric. I hope that messaging was able to come across pretty clear and that people can sort of connect with some of the brainstorming ideas of like, oh, that could actually save me 5 or 10 hours a month of management.
Right.
So thanks for having me.
Yep. Great to have you. Thanks, Scott.